Hello and welcome to this lecture. In this lecture, I will be introducing you to the WHERE clause. The WHERE clause basically is used to act as a filter to filter rows that are returned from a select statement. Without the WHERE clause in a statement, it can return all the data you have specified. So the WHERE clause acts as a filter to filter out the records that are returned from a select query statement based on certain conditions or criteria you have specified inside the WHERE clause. So let's look at how you write a WHERE clause. So the syntax basically is this. After your select statement, after you key in this keyword, you've done your column select if you're selecting specific column. If not, if you're selecting all the column, then you can replace the column names with asterisks. You specify the name of the table and then the WHERE clause. The WHERE clause usually appears after the from. Okay, so you must place it after the table name, which is after the from keyword. Then you place the WHERE clause. Inside the WHERE clause, you specify the conditions that must be met for the returned data from the query. All right, say for example, you can specify that you want to return data from column 1, column 2 from this table where maybe the first name begins with this or certain conditions matches a certain criteria. So the WHERE clause will be acting as a condition. If the condition you specified in the WHERE clause is met, then the relevant data is returned. So let's illustrate how this WHERE clause is used. So I've logged into my pgAdmin 4 and these are the tables from this dvdrental database, the sample database here, and I'm just going to pick a table to work on. I've got a table here called customer. So let me quickly right click on this table and go to the properties so we can see the properties of the table. So this should reveal things like the columns of the table. So if I click here now, we can see these are all the columns of the table. So let me run a quick query on the table. I'm just going to right click and go query tool. I'll wait for the query tool to launch and then I'll write a very quick select statement. So I'm going to do select star from customer, which is this table here, and that should, if I execute this, that will give me, it will return all the data. You can see 599 rows retrieved. All right, so say for example I don't want all this data retrieved. It has received 599 rows, and if I don't want all 599 rows returned, I can apply a filter. Okay, and the filter will reduce the amount of records returned. At the moment it has returned 599 rows. You can see here saying 599. So I want to apply a filter here. So to do that, I'm going to get rid of this semicolon there and type in the WHERE clause. So this is a WHERE clause that will act as a filter. Then I need to specify the condition for the WHERE clause. So I'm going to say where the store underscore ID. Notice here we've got store ID 1, some of them are store ID 2. So I'm going to say where the store ID is equals to 2. I've now applied a filter. So the data that's going to be returned from this query should be less than 599 records, because I'm using this filter here to restrict it. So I only want to return data that matches the store ID number 2. Anywhere where the store ID is 2, those are the data I want returned. So notice I've used an equals to here. Equals to is known as a comparison operator. So that's what we use to compare. Okay, so if I run this now, just watch out, it should return less than 599. So let me execute that. Look at here, it says 273 rows retrieved. So we've been able to filter the rows that have been returned using this query here. So the where clause here acts as a filter, and you can specify any condition inside the where clause. So whatever condition you specify in the where clause, when the query is executed, it will compare that condition, and based on the condition you've specified, it will return the data that matches that criteria. So that's how you use a where clause to act as a filter. Thanks for watching, and bye for now. The where clause is also important when you are deleting records. So you can use the where clause to act as a filter so you don't delete all the records from a table. Inside the where clause, you can specify what you want to delete or what you want to update. Very important, the where clause. Bye for now.